Beyond Mortal Boundaries, Chapter 15. The Unspeakable Truths Hidden Up from the Foundations of the World. The name of this chapter is Truths Hidden from the Foundations. The witnessing radiance of light is not revealed in words, yet in power and in majesty, and in the perfecting and the bringing forth of divinity right within oneself. Seek not for the things for that the Gentiles seek, as Christ warned, yet rather seek ye the kingdom of prime Creator, and all else will be added unto you. Matthew 6, chapter 6, verse 33, and Luke chapter 12, verse 27. It is only as the heart of man is opened by the great love that he can possibly enter that divine kingdom of prime Creator and receive the unspeakable glory that prime Creator has held locked within each individual soul. And as one exerts himself or herself to think only the most beautiful things possible, he and she will automatically develop that love and will become as beautiful as possible. And as one sends that love forth with all the energy of heart, soul, mind, and strength, he and she generates a power beyond the natural mind of man to fathom, and forever will be clothed in the spiritual radiance that the shame of his mortal nakedness will never appear. And though his sins were as scarlet, they will become white as snow to him and her that overcometh, and they will never come in remembrance before. It says Lord, but I have an issue with that word. Such a one will walk in glory and be clothed in light, as Christine Mercy declared. These greater blessings can never be claimed by those who are satisfied with all the failings and weaknesses of mortality. It is most assuredly true that the wages of sin is death. And it is also true that those who overcome sin also have the power to overcome that last enemy, death. The possibility of overcoming and of becoming perfect, even as our Mother, Father in heaven and on earth are perfect, it's been there down the endless centuries, awaiting those who are willing to look beyond the common orthodox vision of grubby mortality. This promise of perfection is possible, else the command would not have been given. Man has failed to even look or to contemplate it because of the hardness of his heart and because of the great wickedness of unbelief. Yet this invitation to become perfect, even as our Mother, Father in heaven and on earth are perfect, is the unveiling of the gifts and power of manhood to a small grubby child. He is invited to grow into such possibilities, and growing itself is a natural process. In the exercising of love and forgiveness is the growing accomplished. And in accepting such a possibility, one begins to mature or to evolve from the man kingdom. He leaves the realms of childhood and develops into the full stature of sonship. Prime Creator has at last made apparent the method of passing beyond all mortal laws into the order or realm of the ancients. As one lays hold or grabs hold of the promises through faith and lives that first and great commandment, he and she is no longer under the laws of mortality. It is as one takes hold of the promises, grabs hold of the promises through faith, that he and she discovers he and she is traveling that straight and narrow way, and it is beautiful. It is the path of promises, and one need travel it, yet a very short distance before the door to that kingdom of prime Creator is opened wide. Its reality and its powers and its glories become the divine possession of that individual as he has opened his heart to live. No one can possibly travel that straight and narrow way of overcoming without reaching the great ultimate goal of all existence. As he and she travels that divine highway of light, his and her vision closes to the darkness, and the light becomes ever more real and perfect and glorious. This is a point of development where one reaches the point of faith or progress, where light and perfection and joy and ecstasy are all that is left. And he and she is wrapped in the power and glory of his and her Maker, and is caught up to dwell with Prime Creator. This has been waiting for man to only begin to contemplate and to believe and to know. Gnosis. As one travels this straight and narrow way that leads to life eternal, he and she naturally and quite easily progress beyond the order of the patriarchs and the promises. He receives the fulfillment of the promises. He and she becomes the radiance of their glory. Yet no promise on the earth or in heaven, for that matter, is of any worth unless it is possible to fulfill it and to receive its limitless power. And Prime Creator said, "Behold, I never give a command or a promise except I prepare the way for its accomplishment." And Prime Creator is a God of truth and cannot lie. Neither can Prime Creator's words return unto Prime Creator unfulfilled or void. To comprehend and to receive the fullness of the marvelous wonders of those great promises that were hidden up from the foundation of the world, because of the blindness of men's minds and because of the hardness of their hearts, and because of the gross wickedness of unbelief, comes the unveiling of the unspeakable glories of that has been awaiting man from the beginning of time, even before the dawn of history, his story. And these great blessings are for this life and for all eternity. They are for the great living now and the forever. As one opens his sealed mind, his calcified pineal gland cleanse, his hardened heart and his entire being or soul to believe and know the unfolding will come. And the blessings become his and her own. Thus he and she begins to travel that straight and narrow path of desiring for things beyond the grubby mortal level of drab existence. His and her exerted power to believe and know will open his and her mind to begin to desire. And his and her desiring is the asking that is required for fulfillment. Yes, ask or desire, and you shall receive. For everyone who asks receives. One cannot possibly ask or desire without first opening up his mind to behold, his and her eyes to see, and his and her heart to believe and know. It is all one and the same. As one goes beyond all orthodox, dull, accepted dead beliefs into the spiritual promises and possibilities, he and she begins to rend that dismal, gross, deadly veil of unbelief. And only then can one's eyes be conditioned to behold the light and the glory and the possibility of all that the awakened heart of man can possibly hope for or desire. This is how one steps through the door of grubby mortality into the divine pathway of overcoming, as mortality and all its curses and evils are left behind. And this is a path anyone on this earth can travel, if so be he and she desires. This straight and narrow path that Christ held forth the keys is the highway to life eternal, insomuch a man need never die. And even with the unfolding of this tremendous truth that Christ constantly bore witness, there are those who are dull, unprogressive, and so self-centered in their orthodox conformity, they will proclaim that they are not afraid to die. They are mediocre individuals and completely without understanding or understanding. One does not travel this road because he is afraid to die, yet because he and she loves Prime Creator. The love of such a one will continue to increase if his and her heart is sincere, until he and she truly loves Prime Creator with all his and her heart, all his and her soul, and all his and her mind. Then, with the strength of his and her entire being, that love will be rayed out in a dynamic glory of overcoming. And that individual understands fully that he and she is not traveling that divine highway of the gods because of any groveling fear. The very first miracle accomplished by love is to cast out all fear. One travels this road of holiness, sacredness, because his and her own soul is reaching forth to glorify Prime Creator with everything he and she has to offer. He and she also realizes that because he and she has the courage and the fortitude to become a pioneer along this wondrous spiritual path, he and she is building a highway paved with the transparent gold for those who follow. Such a one is a privileged being indeed, for it is a far greater privilege to travel by faith than by knowledge. One becomes the trailblazing guide to those who come later, traveling in comfort and ease. As one loves with all his heart, mind, body, soul, his and her entire being is renovated and purified and spiritualized and beautified and made perfect. And only such are prepared to be born of the Spirit. It is then one is prepared to behold the things that mortal eyes have never seen, nor mortal ears ever heard, and that have never before entered into the heart of man. Such a one, having fulfilled all the laws through the perfecting of love, will be prepared to enter into the divine kingdom of Prime Creator. This pertains only to those who love Prime Creator. Such a purified one enters the jeweled Holy of Holies and discovers that he and she has become all the glories and the wonders it contains. Anything that is on the outside of man is never really his own. He can only claim definitely and permanently that is within him and her, or that he and she himself, herself is. He and she becomes the love and the purity and the perfection of all that he and she could possibly desire in righteousness. He and she is those very things. He and she is filled with the radiance of those inner jewels and knows fully that all the virtues of perfection have become his and her own. It is then he and she is able to send forth the divine radiance of those precious jewels or virtues, for he and she and himself and herself has become divine. The straight and narrow way that leads to life eternal is the pathway of love, made perfect, joy fulfilled, perfection established, and glory accomplished. Yet, as Christ said to Nicodemus, "If I have told you earthly things and you have not believed, how can you believe if I tell you heavenly things?" All the things that have been written in this record have been earthly things, or conditions that must be taken hold of, grab hold of, and fulfilled while in this mortal life. If it is seemingly almost impossible to comprehend being born of the Spirit and taking on immortality, then how is it possible to even give a hint concerning the fullness of the things that are spiritual? All that the mother and father has is yours. The power of perfection, divine love glorified, divinity accomplished, and godhood not only a possibility, yet a reality. In the 8th chapter of Romans is given the information that there are lords many and gods many. That's why I had an issue with the word Lord and God. There are many lords and gods. and the scriptures cannot be broken. Then stand forth Christ's dynamic words, partially quoted from Psalms 82, if he called them gods unto whom the word of God comes, then why should you seek to stone me because I said I am the Son of God? The Son. Here, Christ was pointing out that Christ had only claimed to be a son of Prime Creator, though Prime Creator had proclaimed that they were called gods unto whom his and her words came. Christ also testified many times of the Mother Father within who doeth the works. This Mother Father within, of whom Christ so continually bore witness, is truly the great God, in whom we live and move and have our being. This is the contact with Prime Creator within, the divine power of the Almighty that doeth the works. So Christ testified and bore witness of the Mother Father within. Yet when Christ came forth from the tomb after 3 days and nights of teaching the spirits in prison, according to St. Peter, and Mary dropped at Christ's feet to embrace and worship Christ, Christ forbade her, saying, "Touch me not, for I have not yet ascended to my Mother Father that are in heaven." So the Mother Father in heaven was not the Mother Father within with whom he was in constant contact. There is truly the Mother Father within and the Mother Father that art in heaven. And both are real and in complete agreement. Warring, wrangling Christendom and all the heathen nations alike have contradicted each other and battled verbally over what or who Prime Creator is, as they have continued to tell about God without ever having known God, Prime Creator. Yet each and every soul is invited to seek God that he might know God, Prime Creator, not just know about Prime Creator. Seek me early and ye shall find me. Yes, seek me diligently and you shall know me. And the promise is, that they might know me, the only true and living God, and Yehoshua Christ, whom you have sent. This invitation has been waiting down the centuries for man to fulfill the conditions of its fulfillment. One does not need to get involved in profane arguments about Prime Creator. It is most assuredly true that there is the great Prime Creator who does fill all space, in whom we live and move and have our being, and out of it all things were made and do exist. This is the God who is nearer than hands and feet, the Mother Father within. And there are also Lords many and gods many, which indicates that there are personal, individual gods also set to rule the heavens above and the earth beneath. And we are informed that this world itself is the school for gods. And what about this revelation? As man as God once was, and as God as man may become. Over individual worlds and planetary systems, and over solar systems and galaxies, and over universes, there are gods, set and appointed to rule in majesty and power and understanding, understanding, as they have progressed along the eternal pathway of the gods. There is no end to progress and to advancement to those who work upon themselves to fulfill all righteousness, not self-righteousness. And only love can fulfill all righteousness. For all the gifts, it is the most divinely powerful, and it is eternal. Those who accept the holy promises of Prime Creator and fulfill them while in this life will have the power to evolve from the man kingdom into the God kingdom. Such will have the comprehension to be informed of heavenly things that Christ could only vaguely hint when speaking with Nicodemus. The very road of godhood is that straight and narrow path, and it must be traveled while in this life in order for one to receive the fullness of its promises and powers, along with the keys of eternal life. Continuing forever along that upward path of everlasting advancement. The path is so simple, a fool need not err therein. It is the road of love for Prime Creator made manifest. and the love for one's fellow man and woman, child, so filled with forgiveness and mercy and compassion, the self and all its negative mortal traits are completely overcome. This straight and narrow path is the road of triumphant overcoming, and praise and love and gratitude are the rhythm and the vibration and the music of its accomplishment. Love and gratitude are the rhythm of love. Yeah. These are the divine realities beyond mortal boundaries. These are the heavenly things that man has never lifted his vision to behold because of the gross wickedness of his unbelief, which has held him down the centuries in his earthbound condition of grubby mortality. It is true that very few indeed have been able to comprehend or behold the great and marvelous things Prime Creator has hid up from the foundation of the world. Even the things pertaining to this earth have been ignored and smothered in the great dark, dismal veil of unbelief. All that the Mother Father has is yours. The love, the understanding, the understanding, the power of creation, and the unspeakable glory of Godhood. The straight and narrow way, the pathway to these dynamic promises, and the door to the path is love fulfilled and made perfect. Love for Prime Creator, and love for one's fellow man, woman, and child. Truth itself is the great reward for those who are willing to accept it when it is revealed to them. Absolute truth seeker. Yet most people would rather perish than change one preconceived belief, regardless of its erroneous deception. It is easier for many individuals to relinquish their lives than one cherished false belief. However, he who desires to know truth must be willing to pay the price for it. He must be willing to open up his sealed mind and hardened heart and to ask Prime Creator for knowledge to comprehend truth, absolute truth. Then only can he rend the black, dismal veil of unbelief that does cause him to remain in his awful state of wickedness, through which the great truths can never penetrate. Few on this earth at this present time have the stamina or the courage to seek to know truth. Yet the promise is, and has always been, know the truth, and the truth will set you free from error, false beliefs, doubting, darkness, negation, and evils. And he who is free shall be free indeed. He will have the freedom and the power to come and go as the wind, and no one will know from whence he and she came or whither he and she goes. Yes, he and she will be born of the Spirit, and unless you have been born of the Spirit and have its great powers, you do not have the truth, no matter what your claims may be. Then God gave this information. No man is ever damned, no man is ever damned for believing too much, yet only for believing too little.